So guys, I'm going to do a tech talk. Do you recognise these? And if those in the room that don't recognise, ask the people what they're about. To me, these are a really good example of the innovation that BASF's actually about. I'm going to talk a little bit about their history, but before I actually do that, I just want to remind everyone actually who BASF actually is, to get some references here. So we're the largest chemical company in the world. We have 110,000 employees globally. We spend a significant amount of money on innovation across our entire portfolio, 2 billion last year. I think it was 4 billion the year before that. Significant numbers of our projects or our products are about sustainability, and we're continuing to try and make that as a larger portfolio of what the company does. Huge from a manufacturing point of view as well. So we have some really good knowledge in the space of manufacturing and dealing with what we're doing. But we're a chemical company, so that's interesting, but I'll get to that in a moment. Our thing is our commitment to climate change. So BASF being a chemical company, we want to be net zero by 2050, as everyone on the Paris Climate Agreement agreed to. We've just accelerated what we're doing now, and we're going to be trying to get to 25% reduction 2018 numbers by 2030. So I think that's like 50% better than what the actual Paris Agreement was. But back to the actual tapes. So why are they good an example of BASF? So the actual history of these is pretty interesting. So we developed it back in 1932. I know it's a long time ago, but it was about choosing the best partner at the time. We developed it. We were the first people then to record anything on the tape, so which was the London Philharmonic Orchestra, if I remember rightly, in Loo, and they did their first thing. We then had a history of just continuing to develop the actual technology over time. What was super interesting though is that right at the heart of when the music industry kicked off, our technology was the one that was chosen because it was market leader. So Panasonic and Philips, when they first started to actually push into the music industry, they needed to record the music on the best media. So the master disc was always actually recorded on BASF product. And then when cassettes came out, as you probably all remember, that's the one that you had for all your music all those times. Then videos came. Not the better. I don't know who did the better, but the VHS, that was the BASF technology once again in terms of using that technology. Mid-80s, we recognised that this media is probably not going to be the future because it was pretty easy to damage it, yeah? And there was talk about this new light-based media called CDs. So we actually, again, partnered with some different people, did the R&D, and actually started working on the blue and the purple dyes that are photosensitive that actually then allow you to actually do CD technology. Did that for a number of years. And then again recognised that the market was moving and we had to stay ahead of the curve. So we actually started to investigate different ways of actually using chemistry to actually do hard memory, so your USBs, these types of technology. The point being here is that I think it's a really good example of how BASF stays ahead of the curve, that as a large chemical company, how we basically innovate and keep ourselves going. Let's fast forward to 2018. So the mining group, that's us, we start to recognise this is getting harder and harder in this mining space, and we have to embrace Industry 4.0 and actually do something with it. So we went out to market and we found Intellisense. And Intellisense were the partner that we needed because what we wanted to try and do was to combine our process knowledge, our chemical knowledge with their advanced data analytics and AI and pull it together to produce one product. Now Intellisense, prior to us joining them as a partner, had been focusing their attention early on in the manufacturing space, so chip manufacturing. And they recognised that the product they were making was actually well suited to like really high risk or high variable data sets like mining. It's nothing but variable. So they adjusted their direction and the partnership then came together. And what came out of that partnership is this BASF Intelligent Mine powered by Intellisense. So what is it? So quickly, there's two parts of the actual product. So there's the underlying platform, which we call BrainCell, which is the actual architecture that sits underneath everything. This is where we basically collect the data, make it ready for actually to do AI-based mathematics on it. And the second part of the actual platform is our optimization as a service applications. So these are individual applications, and we'll go through a little bit in a moment, that sit on top of the entire platform, and they're there ready to go out of the box solutions that actually provide value from a recommendation point of view. So they predict, they simulate, and then they optimize to give you a recommendation of how to run your process the best. going to leave that slide up and just talk about why we think we're actually different. So what we found in the industry is that a lot of this space, particularly in the plant area, not so much the mining space, but in the plant area, the traditional way is to come in, do a heap of data mining, try and find the actual patterns in your data, correlations, then build a model and go from there. What we've done is we've taken chemists, we've taken mining experts, we've taken software experts and data scientists and pre-built our models. So because we know what mining is about, what thickness is about, what a flotation circuit is about, we constrain the AI component of what we're doing. And the result of that is actually models that are pre-built, they're ready to go. We know the inputs, we know what the output should be, and our process to work with individual miners is not about to find your particular model, it's to take the model that should work and actually then calibrate it to your site. So that process is very much about making sure that from an implementation point of view, it's actually rapid. So we're not stuffing around, coming on site and actually working things out. We're coming, we're getting your data, we're feeding it into our model, we're starting the calibration process, we're trying to give you value as soon as possible. And the general journey you've got, from start to finish, 4 months. And at the end of that journey, you should be able to extract, whether or not you're capable of doing the extraction, but you should be able to extract the full value the actual apps can give you at that point in time. The other thing that we have from a model point of view is that because these are pre-built models and they're ours, every 3 months we're continually trying to update the model so it's the latest set of information from your process. So we continue to retrain in the background, and that service is part of the offering that we actually deliver. In addition to that, we upgrade them every 6 months. So if you can envision, because we've got a pre-built model, it's not a model that's owned by your site per se. We're bringing in all site data, all site learnings that we have, so our actual models and our software continues to grow. So every 6 months we just roll out a new version to try and bring in the learnings that we've got from other places and actually use them in your site. So it's pretty powerful. We're currently all around the world. Success happening right the way across South America, Europe, Kazakhstan. We have applications across the top here. And I'm not going to talk about them too much, but because we've got a booth full of the information, but we have basically applications that cover these main topics of digital stockpile, of heat leach, of optimizing grinding, thickener, flotation, and then the underlying pipe platform and pipeline pumping. So if you get a chance, grab these out and have a read, and you can actually see what this is all about. 2 minutes, this is good. To finish up, what we found, which is super interesting, is Australia traditionally has been at the forefront of change. Look at this conference, look what's happening in the mining space, particularly on digital. What we found though is that in the plant space, so in the beneficiation area, the uptake of these types of technology has been way slower in Australia. When we look at what's happening in South America, in Europe, the uptake is happening extremely quick. And we find that it's actually interesting that Australia, for the first time in a long time, is wanting to be second on a lot of these things. And I think it's mainly due to the fact that they actually don't recognise or understand that there is products that are ready to go. They're thinking the same journey that we went through with the mines has to happen again with plant. But we've learned from that, others have learned from that, and it's about now accelerating it. So I recommend that you come on through, grab some brochures, have a bit of a look, and then you can learn more about